Township Parsippany-Troy Hills Township Council Special Meeting, December 23rd, 2013. Public invited, public participation. Meeting called to order by myself, 7 p.m. Please rise for a flag salute. Mr. DiPiero.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Ferrara.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here. Others present. Mayor Barbario, Paul Cosarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, John Inglesino, Esquire, Township Attorney, Yancy Wazirmas, Township Clerk, Joseph Kowalczyk, CFO Treasurer. Purpose of this means to discuss, take action, resolution, we're in a contract for health benefit insurance, insurance design administrators. We're in a contract for employee dental insurance services, Delta Dental New Jersey, Inc. Any other action reasonably related thereof may also be taken. Formal action may or may not be taken.
Statement of compliance. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirement of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 18th, 2013, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record on December 20th, 2013, and forwarded by fax to the Star Legend and Parsippany Life on December 18, 2013.
Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open this up to the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Farrar,
Second.
second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, at this time, I'll open this up to the public. You'll be given 5 minutes to speak on any topics. This is the open public. Yeah, it's fine. Button on the side. Now, Leah will tackle you from the back. Yancey's coming around. Yancey's coming around.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, Julie Peterson, 25 Old Parsippany Road, Parsippany, New Jersey, speaking as a totally private citizen. First, I want to thank Mr. Ferreira and Mr. Nelson for their service and the rest of you for your service, because we all know it's really, anybody who serves the public, there are a lot of demands, and it impedes on your private life, and as citizens, I think we need to express appreciation for that. I want to say that people I'm related to have lived in Parsippany since 1802, so I have a long history here, and what I'm urging this present council and the next council to think about is what kind of a city Parsippany will be in 50 years, and in pursuing that, as a private citizen, I'm concerned because I haven't heard anything about the Forge Pond, and I know there was a time limit. And so was able to make a statement from the Historic Preservation Committee to the council about 2 months ago about our, concern about that property and our, urging the council that even if you don't restore the dam, to take title to that property. And I don't know what happened about it, so I don't know whether I can ask a question about that or whether I can just express to you that I hope after you're having your holiday dinners and stuff that you'll be able to reflect on what it would be like to lose 131 open acres that we are being offered. I know there are expenses along with 131 acres, but not many. And if you think about what kind of a city Parsippany is going to be in 50 years, maybe we can't turn down 131 acres that are being given to the town. And after the holiday, the committee would be happy to sit down with anybody who has questions, because it's something we've been following since 1995, and we have plenty of information about it. And that's kind of what advisory committees are for. I mean, we do all that research and it sits there. So I want to thank you for your service and hope that in the new year we'll be able to meet with you and express how important that property is to the community.
Council meeting, do a presentation. I have no problem with it.
Really? Okay.
Just call in advance to set up.
Okay. And is the deadline, I mean, the deadline is almost passed.
No, it was if I might, the due diligence period that was set forth in the settlement agreement
It was 120 days.
has been extended so that the township can perform its due diligence.
Okay,
There
so,
are some issues with the property that have to be looked into further, and I think that, frankly, the appropriate thing to do is to wait until the due diligence is completed, and then, hear from interested parties, and then the council can make a decision as to what it wants to do with that property after the
Okay.
due diligence is done. But the township has a consultant who's doing work on it and has to issue a report, and that's just taking more time than what was initially envisioned.
because I know that the dam is the biggest issue and has been the biggest issue all the way through. That's pretty fair to say. And so I think there are ways that the historic nature can be accommodated without a lot of, I think that we
Well,
can
it's a
come
da-
to an,
It's a dam, and it's also the environmental conditions of the property that have to be reviewed.
oh, yeah, that have to be reviewed because there was never environmental impact statement required. And of course, just going a little further, our concern is that if the town did not take it over, what will happen is that the land will continue to dry up and become developable. And so, those of you that drive by that, I want you to picture that as a developed out piece of property. And I don't know whether we can deal with that or not. So thanks for your time. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Parsippany-Troy, 182 Hawkins Avenue. I'd just like to know a little bit about this township resolution for the insurance. I'd like to know if the council received any other proposals. I see that they were received, but were you able to look at any other proposals, make a comparison, or
Just the comparisons. Just the comparisons.
you were able to look at what other insurance
It's in the
companies
proposal. It's in the proposal, yes. The comparisons, yes.
of other
We
insurance
recommend it,
companies?
yes.
Okay. Okay. In their proposal,
It's in their proposal, but yes, there are comparisons.
made by their company?
Yes.
Thank you. The one thing I ask is, why is it being pushed at this time? Really, this kind of stuff should have been handled about 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago. Now it seems once again, something's being pushed through. Asking you to do your due diligence on this. Don't push anything through just to get something through for somebody or anybody. Your loyalty is to the taxpayers and to the town employees. Okay, you're elected officials. I expect you to know what's going on with everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roy Messmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. Good evening, everybody. We need an education here, Brian, and council, administration, on this self-insurance that we have with our medical plan. Number one, how, if you could answer me at the end, of course, and I'm going to leave, if you can let me know when I'm at 4 minutes so I can ask questions so I don't get clarification. How are payments determined if we're self-insured? Do we make a check out each month to IDA? That's our claims administrator. Again, what is the amounts? Two, are the amounts paid into a medical insurance trust? And the reason why I bring that up, our claims ratio, and most of the public doesn't, none of the public has this, in fact, because I got a copy the other day at the presentation last week by Mr. Graham here. Claim loss in 2013 is 61%. Obviously, there must be some open items because it's only December 23rd today, and 2012 was 65%. Well, for every $1 million of medical
Roy,
insurance,
4 minutes.
I'm at.
You're at four. Yeah,
Oh,
four
no, I
left.
meant 1 minute
Oh, okay.
left. Thank you. So that means, just roughly use 60%. That means we have $400,000 in surplus for every $1 million that we've paid into the medical plan. I realize there's a brokerage commission, there's administration fee to IDA, there's a surtax on insurance policies, maybe other expenses I'm not aware of, but I'd like to know tonight where that money is. Because based on our claims loss ratio for the last 2 years, we should be sitting with, well, not sitting, we should have gotten a reduction based on conversations I've had with several people in the industry that I know. But yet we have an increase of, and it's possibly, sir, you said to me last week 1.7%. It could be high as 7.2% if you look at the schedules they have in here. And also, I just think the public should be aware of that for each insured party, whether that's single or family, or head of household, I guess, there's the max of $125,000 per person, per person or family that is covered. If we go over to 125, this is the education I've received. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Then it goes to that excess liability policy, the terminal liability policy. So I'd like to know tonight, obviously it's personal information. I don't want to know anybody's name, make clear that. But did anybody go over that 125 in the last 2 years? Because we've only hit approximately 60% in claim loss. Next question is, because last week, Mr. Graham had left, but I thought the presentation was missing a lot. What is the cost of the excess, or as you guys call it, the terminal liability insurance company? What are our payments to them? What is the dollar amount in that? And is that included in this amount that's in this resolution? People who receive, I don't know if this is out tonight? Yeah, the resolution is out, so the public has it. I don't understand why there were 2 line items on here. You've got the yes for the 10.6 million and then a yes for 9.2. I don't understand why there were 2 there. Next part, how much time do I have left, Brian?
You have about a minute and a half.
Okay, next thing. I am concerned, this is a different item, but it is related to this insurance. I have in front of me a contribution report from the Morris County Republican Committee. In this contribution report dated 10/10/13, there's a $7,200 payment from Ryan D. Graham. I assume, and it says right here, employee Fairview, so it must be Mr. Graham that's standing right here to my left. Isn't that in violation of our pay-to-play ordinance of 2010-02, where it says, I'm not going to have the time to read it, but the public can get the copy from me here, where they can't, basically what it says, there can't
1
be any
minute,
type
Roy.
of subterfuge regarding political contributions. Okay, I have 1 minute
1
left.
minute.
I'd just like to get my answers, and then if I'm not understand them, I'm going to get a clarification.
Well, Mr. Graham, can we have you come up after people ask? All right. So the questions will be answered by Mr. Graham, but after the public.
Well, does Mr. Graham answer those questions regarding our
Well, the
payment stuff?
the
Or
ones
does it
regarding-
count?
I mean, we can answer some, but Mr. Graham, I'm sure is going to have to answer some, whether.
I'll also chime in.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Stan, on the pay-to-play
Well, that is not.
issue in particular, Mr. Grant was asked that question at the last meeting. There's nothing that Mr. Mesmer has said or that I've seen that would indicate any violation of the township's pay-to-play ordinance.
Mr. Kowalczyk, want to say something?
Sure. In regard to a couple of your questions, the first one was, how do we pay? We pay off of claims. Yes, there is an administrative cost that goes to IDA. There is no specific health and trust fund. That's one of the great things about the 1218 plan that we have. Usually when you have a 1212 policy, which you've seen here, you do end up setting funds up into reserves. So when that occurs, not only are we laying funds out in advance, but we're also not the ones getting interest off the funds in that reserve. So as an aside, having the 1218 prevents us having to create that trust. As far as your question of where do these funds, excess funds sit? Plus we're self-insured and we're on a 1218 plan. What we're able to do is for the next 6 months, usually the way, you know how health insurance works. None of your doctors really get things out on a really expeditious basis. So what ends up happening is over the next 6 months of the next year, you're constantly getting claims that are attributable to the prior year. So what we're doing is we're charging the 6 months for those other reserve claims that we're getting in against the appropriation reserve budget. So your question of how does it work, because we're at 1218, at the end of 2013, I'm still going to have funds set aside. What's going to end up happening is over the next 6-8 months, I'm going to have claims coming in that's attributable to 13. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and charge it against. I hope that answers that one. The 125,000, yes, there were people. I can't say more than that. HIPAA prevents me. So what is the cost? I have to look at that. I haven't been able to check that, but I can get you that answer.
Just a follow-up question. Well, I want to say something though to Mr. Inglesino. I don't agree with Mr. Inglesino regarding our ordinance, but I'll probably be dropping a dime to
30
the
seconds,
left. Okay, but sir, but when we make up the town bill or taxes, you base it on a certain dollar amount.
Correct.
Anticipated, but then we've had these nice reserves the last couple of years.
Correct.
Okay? And granted, yeah, you're carrying it forward because the bills from doctors don't come in immediately.
Right,
Somebody
but if
could
you
be-
take a look
but
at the
where's that money though? I mean,
Well,
these last-
that's what I tried to explain. When you take a look at the next year's budget, and you take a look, we're actually spending it down. There are no reserves. If you take a look at the 14 budget, you're gonna say our healthcare budget's $9 million. We spent $6 million in calendar year 13. These are not
Right.
actuals. I can get you those. We have $3 million left in reserves. What ends up happening is from January until June, July, August, hospitals are notorious for not billing on time. So what we're getting is not only are we getting bills that has 14 claims, but we're also getting bills in that same area that has bills that are claims attributable to 2013.
I realize that, but
Right,
you've also,
right.
that's it.
All right,
All right.
And that's how it's being
You
expended.
guys, yeah.
yeah, can I just to stay on that train of thought? On a 1-year basis, I can see where you would need the 1218, and that makes sense. But just taking these 3 years from 2011, 2012, 2013, 2011 we had a 81% loss ratio. Then 2012 it dropped to 65%, and 2013 it dropped to 61%. Now, why would our renewal for 2014, why would it be an expected increase when we really should have that money banked into whatever account that this is in? Why? I guess the simplest question is, why is the insurance going up this year?
If you take a look as a health insurance industry as a whole, most of everybody's rates are going up. There was an article in the Star Ledger. Horizon went out on record and said the average health insurer is going to have a raise between 7 to 17%. United Healthcare was on record of stating that it's going to be between 10 and 15%. There's a lot of small mom and pops. I've got a very good friend who owns a pizzeria. His health insurance went up 43%. One of the things, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm going to say it, with the ACA and the unknowns of what's happening in the future, you're not seeing health insurance drop. The companies are hedging their bets and making sure they have adequate reserves based on hand to ensure that they can pay their claims. And they're not hitting us at a later date and time. If you're asking questions back, I could tell you, I have gone back and looked through the budgets. Our health insurance budgets have been fully expended. As you know, I started in September.
Right.
I could tell you, I took a look at this year's health insurance budget. If you take a look at it in the current fund, it is fully expended as far as against the reserve year. It looks like funds were expended until about June 28th was the last portion of any bills that came in that had 2013 identified with it.
All right. Then it's not really, then for 2013, then our loss ratio really isn't a true 61%.
Well, it is for currently
At the time of.
for 13 at the time of your 2012. I'm not sure when you guys put the loss ratio together for 12. I'm not sure if it's based on calendar year or is it based off of the 18 with the 6-month run. Okay, that's the issue. Is the 2012?
But he's saying it's calendar year.
Right. 2012, then if it's based off the calendar year, doesn't include the runoff, which basically happens when at the end of the 12-month period, you still have additional claims that have not been presented. So that's the issue.
Then when we're looking at this for 2012, where it says 65% loss
I
ratio,
would believe it's probably higher. I haven't asked them how they put together their loss run ratio, so they based it off the calendar year.
because if it's not, you understand where I'm
I
leading to?
do understand where you're going.
If it's not higher,
It should be.
Then we should have the
If
money.
it's based off the calendar year, then it doesn't include the runoff. I will tell you, dollars to donuts, I would bet that 60% is going to be higher. Because we had an additional, I like to say it was about $2.8 million in claims that we had through the runoff period.
Mr. Council President, I have more questions, but maybe just let the public speak, because it's probably questions for either Joe or for Mr. Graham. So,
Okay, seeing nobody else come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close the public.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Farrar,
second.
second by Mr. Nelson. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, if you haven't signed in, if you came up and spoke, please come sign in, please. And you guys wanted to ask Mr. Graham some questions, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Graham, they wanted to ask you some questions. Yes.
Want me to go first?
Take it away.
Okay. Hi, good evening. Just for the benefit of the council and anybody who's in the audience, I guess the first question, and this is the biggest one, could you explain the difference between what a fully insured policy, like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Blue Cross, Cigna, is compared to a self-insured policy that we have?
Ryan, just add your name and just your name into the record.
Ryan Graham. Okay. A fully insured program through Horizon Blue Cross or any other insurance carrier in New Jersey, that is basically a program where you pay a flat rate per month. Any claim to go above what your monthly premium or annual premium is going to be, that falls on the insurance carrier. Anything that falls below, you don't reap the benefits of that financial gain. Self-insured program, actually, the township is actually partially self-insured because we have excess coverage in place, as you know, for any type of catastrophic losses. We also have aggregate reinsurance in place to cover any type of, to cap your losses, okay? That being said, you guys pay a fixed rate per month to IDA. That includes your claims adjudication, that includes your reinsurance premium. And what IDA does is then they bill you for the claims that are incurred, and you pay the claims. And if the claims are running well, then you guys receive a financial gain versus what the fully insured market provides.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that understand?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, go ahead.
No, this is helpful.
Mr. Graham, at last week's meeting, and I'm going to just quote something that the mayor did a press release and gave us a letter to us stating that I, along with Councilman Nelson, did not ask intelligent questions of you. I specifically asked you if this contract was tabled and not renewed as of January 1st, would that have any effect in any way whatsoever on any of our town employees' health insurance coverage? Would the insurance be dropped as of January 1st? And you stated no. Correct?
Can I answer that question?
Sure.
Okay. I stated yes, that it would not be, that you would not lose coverage. You guys are self-insured. You guys at that time, like I said, on January 1st, if you don't renew the contract, then the town at that point, you have to provide benefits. It'd be through you guys. Mike Atkinson stepped into the microphone. He stated at the council meeting that you need to pass and approve for the reinsurance contract for the excess coverage to take effect come January 1st. He then provided a letter regarding from the reinsurance carrier that they would need to have a pass and approval in order to cover any type of excess losses above $125,000.
Okay, so as long as the town made a renewal payment in January, that there would be no effect on even going over that $125,000. Because the mayor keeps saying that, oh, if there's a claim over $125,000, people would not be covered. But that excess does cover that.
You also
Town pays up to the $125,000.
At the same time, IDA also provides networks in place. Right now, you currently have AmeriHealth, you have CHN for a wrap for any type of national coverage. To not renew that, you would now be solely on the hook for the entire claim, where right now you get about 60% discount for hospitalization, as well as other discounts with various doctors that the members seek
But
treatment
as
with.
long as we made a renewal payment, we're covered.
Hi, Mike Atkinson from IDA. Coverage for the employees would really be unaffected to the point that they would go to the doctor, pay their copay, and be done. The risk for the town is God forbid there was a catastrophic claim. The potential for the reinsurance contract is not renewed, so if you had $1 million claim out there, the town would be responsible solely.
Is there a 30-day
For that claim.
period in there?
I'm sorry?
Isn't there a 30-day period in there?
No.
Well, let me ask you, what day of the month?
January 1st is the renewal date, so the reinsurance carrier needs a renewal, payment, insurance
So that has nothing to do with the
premium.
contract. As long as you send that payment in,
For the reinsurance.
yes, it's
Correct.
covered.
But that's the risk that you take if you don't renew, is that you would be solely, as Ryan stated, on the hook for that claim.
But if the payment's made, it's still extended, if it's made for the month.
If I may clarify, if I can.
Terminate early.
Actually,
lose the
In
reinsurance.
that instance, what happened, according to our discussion, is that our, according to the New Jersey, the Healthcare Reform Act, we would lose the excess liability coverage, am I correct? And then we would lose the ability to have network doctors. As of December 31st, 2013, if it's not renewed before then. So solely, it affects the taxpayers because it solely comes out of their pocket.
Correct.
Correct.
And reinsurance works.
Right,
Well-
I mean, if you did terminate a contract early, then the excess loss coverage doesn't exist as well.
What day of the month are payments due?
Well, I think we bill the month prior, and needs to be paid by the 15th of the month. The claims are billed, I believe, on a weekly basis. We fund, or twice a week?
That is, yeah,
Is it twice a week?
yes.
It's twice a week, usually the 15th and 30th of the month.
Well,
We do it.
to make sure that, I'm not sure who to ask this question to. My understanding is we have a separate bank account. Every month, the town puts money into this account, and I guess IDA pulls it out to pay the claims as needed. Is that how it works, Joe?
That is correct.
Okay. The money that we put into this separate account,
What,
does IDA pay the terminal, the excess insurance? Is it your firm that pays it, or does the town pay?
Well, we get the money from the town, and then we remit to
Yeah.
the carrier.
what they'll do is they'll send us an invoice of stating what these claims are. What I'll do is I'll wire it from my claims account. I send it over into the IDA claims account. The reason I handle it that way, and the reason it has been, is simple. I want to make sure that, one, it's almost a zero balance account. When I'm taking a look at this, I shouldn't have any true reconciling items other than a timing difference every once in a while. And that's just going to be dependent upon how everything falls.
Okay, so I guess that's what I figured. I'm
Yeah.
just guessing. I figured that was probably the way that you did
Well,
it.
and that's what we do, is
Right.
we make sure it's a zero balance.
Just a follow-up, Counsel. So the question is, every month, I'm sure that the township pays the excess insurance into the fund. There must be a due date for the additional insurance.
Well,
But, I believe we request it by the 15th of
It is.
each month.
Uh,
And usually
we-
we get it before that. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know exactly the billing
What-
cycle, but it's usually the month before for the month that's coming up.
So January's is already paid for.
No,
No.
no.
I would pay that, Councilman, by January 15th, is what I try to do, to make sure that it's done in a timely
But he
basis.
just said we're paid a month in advance, so if,
No,
okay,
that's
so
how it
December
usually-
15th payment, what did that cover? What time frame?
For December 15th, that would have been, from what I understood, the administrative cart charge for December.
So
what
we're
they'll
actually
do-
paying behind.
Yeah, so what they'll end up doing is
As
they'll
you move
true
forward,
up.
you'll catch up.
Yeah.
in the first month, because it's a renewal, because we don't know exactly which way you're going. We gave many options to the town at renewal, different stop-loss levels, et cetera. Once they made a decision, then we bill the client accordingly. So I don't even know if have you seen January's invoice
I
yet?
have not
don't
at
think
this
you
point.
have.
So what ends up happening, Councilman, is we're based off of a certain claim ratio. What we'll do is we'll get the claims in twice a month. We get the administrative piece in once a month. So what's going to end up happening is they'll put their administrative piece, and then if there was some type of claims in between those two periods, that's where I'm doing the catch-up, even on their billing.
Right,
At
but
that
that's a
point.
separate thing. We have the actual claims,
Correct.
and then we have
The administrative
the
piece.
fixed costs, which I guess, and I'm guessing that's going to be, you know, the IDA's administration of the policy, the stop-loss insurance, and whatever commissions and other things.
Network access.
And network access. But I guess we still didn't get the answer. The stop-loss company, whoever that is, we have a policy, right?
Currently, yes, you do.
Right. When does that policy run?
That runs from January 1st, 2013 through
12/31.
July, to 12/18, so it runs to
June
June
30th.
31st, 30th?
Yeah, and what's happened,
The claims, because it's incurred, the way the contract is set up, it's incurred in 12, paid over 18 months. So you have a 12/18 contract renewing on a 12/18 basis. As Joe said before, that covers you basically for the run out of expenditures that people are incurring claims today are not going to get into our office before the close of the year. So that's why we have the extension out there to protect the town for those claims that are yet, that are unreported.
For instance, December 31st, you'd have a guy, or somebody going to the hospital for catastrophic illness. Obviously, that claim is going to be paid out over the course of the next few months. You would then have coverage to protect you from that December 31st claim. That's what they mean by incurred in 12, paid in 18.
All right, I got a question. My question's to CFO, mayor, business administrator, the brokers for the insurance, and our township attorney. What's a potential risk to the town of Parsippany and or its employees if we do not go forward by January 1st with our insurance policies?
The sole cost of the plan then falls upon the shoulders of the Township of Parsippany. And what that also entails is to adjudicate the claims properly to the plan documents. That means you'll have no networks for discounts, and you'll have no coverage for excess claims above $125,000.
So,
In addition-
so
in addi-
we enjoy, not enjoy, but so we getting the discounts now because IDA is the administrator, we would lose that.
Correct.
So we out of pocket 100%.
Did we get billed for January yet?
no.
I don't believe so.
I have not seen a bill yet. No, I have not.
When would that be coming in?
Sometime
I'm
after
sorry.
the first,
I don't.
Let us-
sometime after the first of the year.
So then what would happen in the next, what are our savings by you being the administrator? I mean, from what I understand, we could lose in savings to the taxpayer approximately $3 million.
Well, for instance, say a claim, I mean, we've seen claims. Take, for instance, a premature baby that goes to the hospital. That claim typically is $1.2 million over the course of 3 months. That network discount is huge when it comes down to lowering the cost, or a cancer treatment, or any other type of illness that's ongoing. These numbers are astronomical, and the whole purpose of a network is to make sure that that fee that the doctor charges meets what their agreed-upon rate is, whereas they bill you the full rate, whatever they want to charge.
What happens with existing patients? Like you have someone getting cancer treatments right now,
Right.
and as of January 1st, what happens?
Nothing would really
Okay, they're still
impact the individual out on the street.
Okay.
Right now, they're going to go incur claims. The biggest risk is to the town
Yeah.
being bare without insurance coverage.
Well,
And that's the bottom line.
Well, and you
Couldn't have
may
excess
also have claims, and I'm not saying that there would be a breach, but I think you may also have claims for breach of collective bargaining agreements as well. I'm not saying that those claims would succeed, because if it came down to that, those claims would be defended. But I think that you would at least have the potential for claims to be made for breaches of collective bargaining agreements, particularly with respect to the way in which claims are administrated.
So what happens with our doctors, the doctors in network? There'd be no more doctors in the network?
No.
There's no network that doesn't exist.
Right. So what ends up happening is if the negotiated rate is 40% of what it's paid, like I could tell you when I go to the doctor, if I wasn't going through my medical insurance, they're going to charge me $180. Meanwhile, I pay $5 copay. What ends up happening is they drop through the negotiations and they're in the network. That bill comes into us for $50. What's going to end up happening is we're going to be submitting that claim. It's going to come into us and we're going to be paying the $180. And that's the biggest area of concern is when you have that, hospitalizations, all of those items, they're all negotiated rates within the network. So when those occur, the municipality will be on the hook for the full cost.
Mr. Farr?
I just have a question. I want to be crystal clear. Our employees will be covered. The only thing that we're missing out is the town is going to be responsible and pay the money. I want to be crystal clear, yes or no answer. Our employees are covered. It's just the town is not reaping the benefits. I understand that.
Correct. You're just
Okay.
changing the vehicle.
Thank you.
Let me ask you one more question, if I may, Council President. I know it's just your meeting. If that were to happen, how would companies like AmeriHealth, Blue Cross Blue Shield, knowing that we didn't renew, how would they look upon us? Because I know, when we had high loss ratios, when we had Cigna, they didn't even want to quote us.
Obviously, looking at it from a marketing standpoint, it'd be very difficult for them to make an assessment to even want to charge you any type of premium because the claims are all over the place. I can't even begin to imagine what type of administration you guys will be doing internally to adjudicate the claims for your own employees, and if that data is correct, it's hard to verify. I wouldn't even know how to get a quote at that point.
All right. Mr. President? All right. Who is our, just because the name isn't being thrown around, who is our stop-loss carrier? Just so I can use it.
At the renewal is RMTS is the company, and Nationwide is the paper.
I'm sorry, it's the what?
Nationwide is the paper. RMTS is the company.
Okay, and that's who we currently use.
No, right now we were switching reinsurance carriers because the renewal premium from the incumbent was not competitive.
Yeah, and if I can add one point, sorry about that.
Sure.
When you're talking about, one of the questions was how would claims be processed? AmeriHealth nor IDA would be processing this, so there's an additional item that I think we need to consider, is it's going to be borne on this municipality completely. So all the claims are going to be coming into us. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm going to say it as honest as I can, I don't think any of us that is sitting within the auspices of these offices have the knowledge or the experience to be able to take a look at a claim and be able to tell whether it's being adjudicated correctly or not.
Right,
I've sat in a
Joe, of
number-
course. When is our contract, when are our bill dates with IDA?
Yeah, but Councilman, if I might, because this is a point I wanted to make, and to Councilman Farrar's point, is that, there is the potential for significant disruption in service to your employees. Just because the township has the obligation to cover, that doesn't mean that their service and the way in which they're able to utilize their benefits will not be significantly affected without an administrator there to administrate claims. Because as time goes by, if you can't provide that administration of claims,
Correct.
it goes to reason that there will be a disruption and potentially a very significant disruption in benefits. And so my concern from a legal standpoint is that may give rise to claims for breaches of the contracts. So, it's not just a risk that is a financial risk that is borne on the taxpayers. There is the potential for disruption of benefit service and the potential for claims for breaches of collective bargaining agreements.
Okay.
If I'm correct too, if we don't go forward with this insurance before January 1st, it's a free-for-all for the employees. They could go in-network, out-of-network, and the town's going to foot the bill for anything out-of-network.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are you stating, then, that there is no network coverage on January 1st if we don't sign this before the end of the year?
That's correct.
Contract expires December 31st.
But it
Okay,
rolls over.
At our last meeting, there was a
Yeah.
few of us that wanted just time to look at this contract. And that's why I asked you, which I feel was an intelligent question, would it have an effect on any of our employees' benefits? And you said, no, it wouldn't. They'd still have their coverage as of January 1st. We don't make a payment until January 15th. At our last meeting, I asked for just some time to review the contract. That's what we wanted. We wanted to table it to just be able to review the contract. We're told tonight we don't make a payment until January 15th. So, what's that?
The payments for the insurance.
No, he just said the payment doesn't go, we bill until the 15th. Okay. So, that's where this, started.
The only,
If I
real,
can
ren-
add one-
the
go
only
ahead.
real renewal is with the stop loss insurance because we self-cover everybody. Are you stating here? I have a couple more questions just before I move on to that. That there is unequivocally there is no network
If you don't
On-
renew
on
with
January-
IDA, that would be correct.
with IDEA if we renew on January 7th by resolution. Well, let me ask you this. Last year, it's true, the council passed a resolution at the end of the year. It wasn't signed until the end of January. So without a signed contract, it was signed January 18th last year. January. The mayor didn't sign it till the end of January, the third week in January, the contract renewal. Resolution passed at the end of December. It wasn't actually signed by all parties until the end of January. So what you're saying is that there was no contract, there was a lapse in coverage for 3 weeks at that point then?
No, I don't believe that's the case. I believe we had received notification from the town that they were renewing as of January 1, 2013, even though we may not have had all the paperwork properly signed, but the insurance carrier was notified, and they accepted the verbal approval of the renewal, and the resolution. So that's what. Then we get the paperwork together, come back to the business administrator, Jasmine, and get the proper paperwork signed.
So if you were to say that there's a new council coming in on January 7th, there's a next meeting, and that under most likely circumstances, the new council will approve it at that point, what's going to happen?
Well, we have a network.
Yeah, I think
We have no network.
if I may, I think the concept that I think is important is that there's a difference between payment on the one hand and the township's decision to renew on the other, right?
Correct.
So I think what I'm hearing from you is that what you want prior to January 1st is authorization. You want the council to pass a resolution that says that there's authorization to go forward with the renewal as of January 1st. If the payment is made on the 15th and the paperwork to document the renewal comes in sometime after January 1st, that's fine, but what you're looking for is for action by the governing body prior to January 1st so that the insurance company knows that the renewal is being made and that the insurance company will accept that for purposes of the renewal. Is that correct?
Yes,
So it's not the payment, it's the authorization.
Right, exactly
Okay.
right.
Council President, if I may make a comment. Last week's meeting, Councilman Karifi and Councilman Nelson stated that they needed more time. But they received this presentation back on December 10th. I got the email here. Yancy sent it to all the council members. So I don't know why that they wouldn't look it over or wait those 7 days till the meeting to ask questions prior to that of the administration. We would have been more than happy to answer any of the questions. So now we're
Council
at
President, can I respond to that?
ground zero.
He's done, yes.
We're at ground zero now. We got to make a decision. It's either yes or no. You don't want to vote, you vote no. You vote yes, you vote yes.
Mr. Nelson?
I believe that we're all lay people here as far as the insurance industry goes. How on earth is any council member or anybody up here on the stairs, other than maybe the CFO, supposed to know what 2013 61% loss ratio history means? And 2012 65%, when we're hearing right now that it probably isn't really the true number. And when we see these numbers, that's all they are. They're numbers. They don't mean anything. We need to say that we need an education on self-insurance and fully insured policies. That's an understatement. Anyway, I just have a few more questions, if you can. I'm sorry, the gentleman from ID. I didn't
I'm
catch
sorry,
it.
Mike Atkinson.
Mr. Atkinson, the fixed cost in the premium in the policy. It's being saying that we're expecting to pay $9,000, $200,000. I'm just going to use round numbers, and the maximum exposure is $9 million, and the maximum exposure is $13,500,000 about. What of that number? What is the actual fixed cost, and what's considered the fixed cost?
The fixed cost out of that $9 million is roughly $1 million, and the majority of that is reinsurance premium, network access fee, pre-certification utilization review, management fee, broker commission, IDA administration. All that is included in the fixed costs.
Of $1 million a year?
Yes, sir.
You just stated that the broker's commission. Mr. Graham, what is your commission, total commission in dollars for all of the different insurance?
It's on a per head fee. It's $38.50 per month, which has been set back since we started this IDA program, which has not increased to date.
So that's $3,850 per month?
$38.50 per employee.
Per employee?
Correct.
So what would that, if I can ask our CFO, what does that work out to?
It's going to work out to be roughly, I'm going to do it at 40 and 500 people. So it'll work out about $2,000.
How much?
2,000?
2,000?
2,000?
40 times 500 employees.
Oh, 2,000
Right.
a month?
Yes, a month.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That-
no,
That's
40.
10.
How can it be?
20,000 a month?
No, it's 20,000. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
$20,000 a month is
Yeah.
our, okay, now, let me ask if I can ask the administration. Did we, now that's in addition to, that's part of the cost. Did we request any RFPs for the broker? Since that's.
Well, the broker's contract
No,
is
I'm
not up
asking-
tonight.
Hold on, I'm asking the administrator. I want to know if, did we
That hasn't come up yet.
Did we send out for any RFPs for the brokers for the commission?
No, I was not involved with that process, but I believe it was done through a non-fair open process.
So that means we did not.
No, but,
We-
hold on a
That's a
second.
question,
The broker's contract is
It's
not
different.
up for discussion tonight. The broker's contract is not before the council tonight. The broker is the broker of record under a separate agreement, which is to be considered at a separate time. It's not before the council.
All right. Just a quick follow-up.
But it is part of this contract. It is part of the contract because he's getting a commission based on what we're paying IDA and Delta Dental.
Yeah, but
Per head, yes, but what we're paying them. So that is part of the cost. He just stated that the commission is part of the cost we pay.
Well,
Hang on, that's Jasmine. I think she said she.
Actually, Mr. Council President, I'm just a little confused now. When does, or I guess this is to Joe, when does our contract or agreement with Fairview Insurance end?
That I am not sure. I
All right.
can tell you that. I haven't.
I have it in front of me.
Well, but Mr.
No, 'cause I
Nelson,
didn't- I just found it.
Let me.
Well, no,
me-
and it's
well,
not a rhetorical question.
It's
It's
not,
just
but
said-
it's a legal issue, and I do my job too. The notice for the meeting tonight, Fairview's contract is not only not up, it was not noticed for the meeting tonight.
No.
What was noticed for the meeting tonight
All right.
was the IDA contract and the Delta dental contracts. That's what was noticed tonight. That's what's on
Okay.
the agenda for tonight.
All right.
I don't think it would be appropriate to
All right.
Oh, wait,
go beyond what the
All right.
notice is for the hearing.
the commission, the gentleman just stated, though, that the commission is part of our payment that we're making. So in other words, this contract, it says expected, $9,200,000. Out of that $9,200,000, if that commission wasn't in there, it would be $8 million something, correct? It would be less. If the commission was not part of that, in other words, that expected amount you gave us, that includes the commission. You just stated that.
It's fixed costs, everything.
Right. It includes everything.
Right.
Right.
Right. Which is not uncommon.
Right, no, but I'm just asking. It is part of the,
It's a profession. They do
Okay.
get commission.
Mr. Council President, can I ask a hypothetical? Let's say our broker of records contract was to expire December 31st of this year. Why wouldn't we be doing a resolution to renew that as well before the end of the year? Because it all seems to be tied together with the health insurance.
It's not due December 30th.
It is, John.
Well, it's not up for, it's not on the agenda.
why not? Why wasn't it on the agenda? Why wasn't it put on the agenda? I'll ask the administration, why wasn't it put on the agenda? Since the contract expires, why aren't we taking care of that as well right now?
My whole point is,
Wait, I
Let's-
want to get an answer.
I'm sorry.
Why aren't we taking care of that right now as
We'll
well?
be taking, I guess we're going to be doing it next year. So you got to make a decision tonight, yes or no. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, and I'd also, for all the employees
what it
that are in
comes
here,
down to, Mr.
I want to
Yes or
make
no?
it clear, Mayor, I'm talking. I want to make it clear that I asked those questions specifically for the employees of this town. I, in no shape or form, in any way, want to have anything affected to any of our town employees on their insurance. So those comments you made, just because I'm doing my due diligence for the taxpayers of this town, and I clearly stated in the questions I asked was to make sure that it did not affect our employees' insurance. A contract of this magnitude, I think we deserved more than 5 minutes after Mr. Graham's presentation to have a chance to look at it. You state that we got it mailed to us before, but all we're mailed is a PowerPoint presentation on paper. We have no opportunity to ask any questions of Mr. Graham, and then you expect us to vote on this contract 5 minutes later. So
Well,
that's
the
all I
question
was looking for
okay,
was
and I'm gonna answer your
more
question.
time.
Councilman McGraw, I'm going to answer your question. You got it on December 10th. I don't know if you looked it over or not.
I did.
Oh, well, then you could have called up the administration. You could have asked them questions. You chose not to do that. You waited 7 more days to do such.
I waited for Mr. Graham's presentation so I could ask him specific questions.
actually, to be fair, and this is just the way it turned out this year, I did send a few emails. I sent one email to Jasmine, but she's off for the rest of the year.
Councilman Karifi, if I just might add, I believe that the contract for Fairview is not up until January. Fairview, as our broker, was responsible to put together the RFP and review them. That was their role here tonight, and through that process is why IDA has been selected to be our third-party administrator. There's a couple of things going on here, and just not to confuse the issue, it's as John has pointed out, yes, Fairview is our broker who vetted those proposals on behalf of the township. We do not have the expertise to do that, and that is why a broker is hired to do that for the township. So we followed the local public contracts law in order to have that process be fair based on the proposals submitted. And this is what we're here tonight.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So what we're voting on right now, these two resolutions, has nothing to do with their contract. They still have to come back in January. Yes or
To
no?
my-
Whose contract?
Fairview, I think, is.
Has nothing to do with Fairview. This is only,
No, I
Right.
understand that. My question is, they still have to come back and renew in January if the contract ends in January? Yes or
whenever
no?
Fairview's contract is up, they would have to come back to the council for reauthorization.
Mike, it goes back to my question. Fairview's contract expires December 31st, 2013.
So maybe the question is, when do they have to come back? Would that be a
According-
question?
Well, my question is, by all accounts, that Fairview will always be the broker of record because we're always following, if we're not approving the broker until January, even though their contract expires December, but we're being told that we have to renew the contract for health insurance in December, then it's constantly, we're just going through the motions with the broker because he's doing the work and then we're approving him the following month. So I guess it goes back to the question that maybe we should just need two separate resolutions, three resolutions, a resolution for the health insurance with IDA, a resolution for the dental, and the third resolution for the broker, and it should all be done on the same evening, because all the contracts expire at the same moment.
The contract for Fairview does not expire until January.
It expires December 31st.
My understanding was January. When does your,
Do you know when your contract expires?
I would have to look that up.
They just be carried over, that's all.
has to be a renewal?
You can RFQ anytime.
For tonight's purposes, just so, you know, and I think you pointed it out before, Councilman Nelson, you're right, this is a very complicated process, and I think it's important to review administratively the importance, and I think the sentiments of the employees and the taxpayers has been said very clearly here tonight, and in that regard, without a contract in place, the township does open itself to unnegotiated network rates and no excess coverage. And I think that's the priority to be focused on here tonight.
Okay.
That-
I have a few more.
I would just like to, I agree with you, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And like I stated last meeting, I just wanted a little bit more time after hearing Mr. Graham's presentation than 5 minutes to vote on it.
Right.
I still don't understand how we can vote.
You guys, gentlemen, you gotta realize too, and this is no fault to anybody, we had to cancel a meeting due to the snow on December 10th, because that's when the meeting was supposed to be.
But again, why wouldn't we do a resolution for the broker, whoever it is, on the same night that our insurance and dental would be doing, because they run concurrent with each other, with the policies?
Not a broker. You can RFQ a broker anytime. I'm
All right.
separate and apart from the carrier.
Okay. I have another question, Mr. Council President. I just don't understand this. In the letter that the mayor sent to the council last week, I don't want to read it, just the one sentence. Without IDA and Delta Dental, the township will lose all network coverage benefits, all excess claims coverage, and approximately, I'm sorry, that's not the part. There was something in there about the 2014, the Healthcare Reform Act eliminated individual lifetime maximums. Are there any lifetime maximums now?
Under the plan, no, I don't believe so.
So what does that have to do with anything?
Well, in the past, your stop-loss coverage may have been capped at $10 million.
But our current policy and whatever policy that we're taking on for 2014, is there any individual lifetime maximum?
No, it's unlimited.
So,
You think it's not renewed?
Yeah, but you're only on the hook right now, the town, for $125,000. So the excess carrier, if you had a $10 million claim, is going to pay $909 million.
no, but you're saying as of January 1st, 2014, the Healthcare Reform Act will eliminate any annual maximums.
That's correct.
Just-
No, but you're saying that's a federal law.
Correct.
I'm not following. There's a disconnect here.
Making sure you're compliant.
Right.
But we are compliant.
Correct.
If we renew.
Right. If you renew, you're compliant.
And then, there's preventative care, there's updates to that as well. They're basically unlimited now, preventative care. You can't have any more cost share in there either. No co-pays, no deductibles, et cetera, for preventative care.
Did we always had, or maybe not, I have no idea. Did we ever have cap maximums in Parsippany? Or like in the last recent years?
I would say probably on some benefits, yes.
I don't understand that. Just hold on one second.
We go through this every year.
Okay, no more questions?
Just one minute. Just, again, I'm being repetitive. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We don't renew the broker of record until January, but we renew our insurance in December. How do we ever catch up? This is a...
To answer that would be if in January, if we didn't keep the broker, he wouldn't be putting the
But he's
presentation on in December. if we would have to
he'll be the broker of record
For this contract
for
now.
2014.
Yes. Not for, in December, he would not be doing the presentation, it'd be the broker chosen. All right, at this time, resolutions are 2013-248, Mr. DiPiero. Thanks, guys.
2013-248, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills awarding contract for health benefit insurance services to insurance design administrators.
Motion by Mr. DiPiero,
Second.
second by Mr. Farrar. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, or 2013-249, Mr. Farrar.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills awarding contract for the employee dental insurance services to Delta Dental of New Jersey Incorporated.
Motion by Mr. Farrar,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPiero. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Farrar. Motion by Mr.
Merry
Farrar.
Christmas, everybody.
Second by
Happy
Mr.
holidays.
Creevy. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
For me.
Yes. Hang here for the roll call. Hang here for the roll call, please.
Yancy.